We're back. Longest recording we're probably ever gonna do. Second attempt had a little dog barf incident.
Yeah, well, it happens. We just got a new puppy
He
in the
he
house.
has a new he has a new puppy.
He's,
Is it a cute puppy?
yes, toy poodle. Ball of
Oh,
fluff and attitude. Like, not even attitude, he just doesn't care. He, like, how do I put this? We have another dog, and an older dog who's often not great around other dogs. And he is just so weirded out by this puppy. He has, and the puppy has no boundaries and does not care. So it's just watching them irritate each other. It's kind of entertaining, but also kind of alarming because they have to live with each other. But turns out there's a phrase my family uses: "puppies puke," which happened, and we don't need to go any further into that, you know. But anyway, by the way, welcome to the LP.
in the original recording, you said why the ghosts are dressed like the 1920s. So I'd like you to repeat that.
Which is, yeah. So apparently, this game was supposed to be set in the Roaring '20s, and not just
Which would
for
have been insanely cool.
Yeah,
and
it
I
would
would have
have.
loved that.
Yeah,
That gives it real. That gives it real Call of Cthulhu vibes.
Yeah, and it wasn't. There was definitely a Lovecraft element to it, but it wasn't just Lovecraft. It was like, how do I put this? They were going to go with other other periods stuff as well. But I think they just decided that they wanted more flexibility, and there's only so much that you can do with a horror setting in the 20s that isn't Lovecraft. And instead they went with this, which I can't begrudge them to do, you know?
I mean, a lot of what they do could work in the 20s.
Oh, definitely. But I got to admit, I really do like I think I've said this before, I really do like the way they treat digital technology in this game.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Like it's just a shame we don't see like a possessed computer or something.
Yeah. That's true, but I do like how everybody uses smartphones and shit. It's not treated for wow, how cool or dissonant, and it's not treated as like magic and technology are mutually exclusive. These are just tools. They use guns because they're guns, and they hurt people because they're guns. And they have magic guns because they also have magic swords and shields.
Speaking of cell phones, that actually comes up and is something that bugs me. I'll spoil it now because we're looking at like maybe next year getting to the area where it matters. Simply put, your cell phone isn't magic.
I can understand why. It's probably comforting.
And this comes into play because you go out of contact with your handler over the cell phone for a mission segment in South Africa. But that doesn't really make sense because there are times you are absolutely nowhere near a cell phone tower, yet you still have a signal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I think that's the sort of thing we can't talk about because it goes so deep into spoilers of those situations. But do you think it's like just a company-issued smartphone, or is your personal smartphone that they just?
I think it's a company-issued one. I mean, I assume they have ones that have pretty good encryption, given the whole secret world thing.
Yeah. The issue of how exactly, like, there are secret worlders who are involved in hacking and such. You don't get much of that. You get a lot more of that in the Illuminati because that's kind of their thing. But then in the Dragner Templars, but you don't get.
You meet one in Tokyo.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. But you don't get like techno mages or anything. You just.
Which is a shame.
Which is a shame. Because the way that they treat technology in this game would be It would keep it from being lame, like that. Like a lot of settings would end up doing with that. They do something interesting with it.
I mean, I really want to get the bees to tell me about Charles Babbage's magic computer.
Okay, yeah, that would be wonderful. I can see that happening.
I want them to tell me about the secret history of Charles Babbage making a runic computer for the Templars.
Yeah, I mean, with this game, it's probably going to be. Actually, it was Ada Lovelace that was the witch, or whatever the hell, and she used Babbage as a baffler.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is. God, this is bringing. This is. It's surprising how little this is bringing back as far as memories go, of like high school. Obviously, you know.
This is kind of a private academy. I mean, I don't think you went to a nice high school like this.
Oh, I did go.
I certainly didn't.
I went to a very nice high school. Well, let me put it this way. My school district sat in a place where a lot of. It's in a district where part of it was full of rich people who did not want to live visibly rich, but wanted to still have like good educations for their kids. So it was funded like a private school. It's
okay.
It was still public.
Do you want to hear about one of my college friends? Because that reminds me of her. Okay, so this friend was Jewish and she lived in D.C. growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So she went to a private school. And this woman was very strange. Like the most dressed down Jewish woman you ever meet. Her boyfriend was a heavy metal fan, and they would go to concerts. But they were the sort of heavy metal bands that are Nazi adjacent.
Ew.
Like you'd go there and it's like regular heavy metal fans, but there's always that one group that's like skinheads. So it was always weird because she wasn't a fan of heavy metal, but she'd go because she loved her boyfriend Dan, and that's how she introduced him every time. Every time she mentioned her boyfriend, it was my boyfriend Dan. Like she was so proud to have a boyfriend. Oh man.
Ah, you're trailing our mythical weapon of mass destruction then. Oh aye, educated guess.
They're not too late, right?
I pure hope not. I have a reputation to uphold as the only thing that's Scottish and dangerous on the island. I should have called in the cavalry as soon as it turned up, but honestly, it caught me with my metaphysical knickers down. I had no idea what it was.
It's not like it's your fault, Miss Usher.
Oh, she's Miss Usher, which is a reference to Edgar Allan Poe's Fall of the House of Usher.
In one piece.
That open day could have gone better. Anyway, I suspect whoever possesses the weapon lacks the knowledge required to use it, and they'll be looking for answers. The Illuminati built this place with secret passages and tunnels out the wazoo. Supposedly, all their records, covering centuries of occult lore, are kept in an archive.
This is a funny bit right here.
It's hidden.
Wait, the one below the school?
Below the school? Oh, I pure hate it when I repeat things.
I kind of heard about this full-on Illuminati vault. Like, the seniors might have tried to crack the lock a few times, or something. You can see through the floorboards in the old block. I heard.
Ah, that Illuminati.
Like, everybody knows but her.
Well, I couldn't discount a manifestation of unconscious telekinesis.
Well then, there you are. The secret Illuminati archives. Lost to the ages.
We're actually having pretty good luck seeing other people.
Yeah,
A fringe benefit of my talent.
Oh, this which entitled The Strange Boathouse in the Mist is a reference to an H.P. Lovecraft story, The Strange High House in the Mist.
Some of the staff made a break for the river. Trained magi who could take care of themselves.
Now, sorry for interrupting. What were you saying?
Something was waiting for them.
Honestly, I don't remember.
Nothing.
Sorry.
Yeah, well.
It's still out there.
Yeah, we have some dead air to fill, considering this is a fucking hour and 22 minutes.
The harvest at Henderson's farm, swollen and churning with lava and disease. Like those dead, traumatizing time-lapse documentaries.
Archibald
Why are those
Henderson's
time-lapse
murderous
documentaries
legacy.
always of things rotting?
It is another weft in the fascinatingly grim weave of Solomon Island history.
I really like Hayden Montauk. He's fun.
My copy of the school prospectus.
The Academy had absolutely no truck with his creation. Initially. During his life.
I like how he qualifies that.
He was a magus, but at heart a simple farmer.
Yeah.
Likely barely able to comprehend, let alone control, his messy undoing.
I come from an agricultural family.
Yeah, my parents grow sunflowers.
I sense this situation is socially awkward.
Ah, no, not much.
Yeah, as we were discussing in the scrap recording, Hayden Montauk totally has autism.
Yeah, he, speaking as two people who have it, he reads strong.
And now, you might be wondering what's with that weird filter, and the answer is, I have no goddamn idea, but it's over the rest of the video.
There's only so many
It
things.
just started. I think I hit something or other. I don't know.
And maybe it was a time change. I don't remember there being a day-night cycle in this game. Is there?
I don't remember. I think there might be in Solomon Island. Or at least in the first map. Because I remember certain time. I remember time changes during that first map. Because there'd be situations where it was day or night.
Yeah. Maybe you just start. Maybe it just had one of those switches, like my Pokemon Shield LP. I was taking screenshots, and mid-recording, it switched between the afternoon and evening. So I had to go in and change the system clock just so I could keep the lighting consistent. So that may just have been what happened. So who knows?
Oh, I have to show you my museum on my other character at some point, but oh my god, to complete the whole museum you have to kill a certain amount of creatures. I know I've mentioned this before at least once, but you have to kill 2,000 scarecrows and they only show up in 2 small areas. So, just fucking farming. It's not as bad as zombies. You have to kill 10,000 zombies. Which admittedly I managed just by leveling up my character and then at level 50 running through Innsmouth killing everything in one shot, but applied necromancy,
Yeah, some of these are.
chemistry and alchemy,
Yeah. By the way, the Innsmouth lore.
trepanation and geology.
Yeah. By the way, the Innsmouth Academy lore is worth looking up and reading because it's really bizarre. It's really bizarre in a fun way. Hey, swap thing. By the way, it turns out I didn't know this. Innsmouth Academy was non-denominational. It was not run by the Illuminati. They started it. They had heavy influence in it, but these days it's neutral. It's also burned down several times.
Well, I expected that. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I expect fire is the least of the things that has happened. Abnormal biology, least of the things that's happened to this place. Parapsychology.
There you go. It burned down in 1885, and then I think it blew up. It blew up in 1967, and then there was another, which is where those class of 67 Geists. That's what was going on there, and then it was there was another time when somebody blew up a wing, and it killed most of the people at the school. So this isn't the first time everybody here has died. It talks about how they keep student deaths within expectable parameters.
That's what Hayden Montag says at one point, yeah.
Filth creatures, jeez.
So I'm going to do a short extermination mission, and then I'm going to get my ass kicked by a boss and show you why just because you out-level a boss doesn't mean you're strong enough to defeat them.
Which, I mean, yeah. It can be a good or a bad thing for him, just depending.
Oh, Norseman's Landing. Man, he is just evading all of my shots.
Luck of the dice.
I'm just imagining some Matrix shit.
I always wondered what that looked like to people sped up properly. I don't think that if they super hotted the footage in any of the movies, because I've never actually. I saw the original Matrix once. I never saw the sequels.
I've seen all of them. They get a bad rap.
Yeah, I
mean,
hear
the philosophy is. The philosophy is not presented in a way that makes it respectable.
I hear it's one of those things where, had they been released on their own, they would have been acceptable, if not incredible movies. But since they're connected to something great, they're awful and hated. It's like how the Star Wars original trilogy is. It's a couple of one mediocre movie, one movie that's so good it's kind of funny, and one good but not amazing movie. But since it's not the original trilogy, everyone hates it. I don't know if that's the case there, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I get my ass kicked right here.
That is a major boss. Oh well,
And if you'll notice, those creatures are called Deep Ones, which is another Lovecraft reference.
I remember reading. There's a book series called. I don't remember the actual name of it. That starts with a short story called Litany of Earth. It's set in the 60s, I think. And the main character, the viewpoint character, is basically the U.S. military moved in the 20s to Innsmouth and dragged everyone away into camps that they later moved. They built and then moved the Japanese into during World War II. And it's all like taking Lovecraftian mythos and spinning it so that the monsters in it are like people. And it's very much
I believe I've read that first short story. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
which reminds me of an idea for an RPG campaign I had, which was H.P. Lovecraft. Everything he wrote was real, but he wrote the equivalent of racist propaganda.
So it's like, that kind of is what that series is. That makes it's something that works. It's an idea that kind of works.
So it would be the 60s, and you'd be playing like Deep Ones fighting for civil rights or whatever.
That kind of cosmic horror, where his idea of evil was not evil, but like complete insignificance. The idea that everything you are means nothing, and that was embodied in his crazy, weird visions of.
I have also witnessed professors of an older vintage making their agonizing way through the halls. Historically, many faculty members were convinced to donate their mortal remains to the Academy ahead of their untimely deaths. The betterment of knowledge.
Nash.
I believe their knowledge is now being perverted by some vandalous hand. One that plays them like fleshy puppets to access areas most forbidden. We possess an Illuminati war golem from the 1600s, purely for reference purposes. The school records of its last activation make for gruesome, albeit entertaining, reading. Such an activation would require a full faculty meeting.
So, this could get worse before it gets better.
Best line.
Oh no. I shouldn't think it would get better.
Yeah. Hayden Montag. Yeah, like we mentioned, he's a dead ringer. I play a game sometimes when it comes to video games, or when I'm reading up on history, where I'll look at people, look at characters, and look for traits, the sort of traits that you wouldn't know are indicative of the spectrum unless you are on the spectrum, or you have been like kind of taught about this directly. But I think for the ones that I brought up as dead ringers, if anyone in the audience has played Persona 4 or 5, Yukiko and Yusuke are, to me at least, both really good examples of what it looks like when you have an autistic person who does not match your preconceptions. He or she just, or they, is, I know multiple non-binary autistic people, actually, that's another story, they don't match the stereotype at all, but they are. But yeah, there's Kraken. I really like that name, I have to admit. I don't even know how to pronounce it properly. Krakenbull? Krakenbull?
Cock and ball.
Is better than even chance. I know that. Oh, also, according to the lore of Innsmouth Academy, there are no other schools in Solomon Island. All of the other kids of the island are shipped to school, like boarding schools on the mainland, that are public schools, but it's just too far away for a commute, which means there's probably a lot of Innsmouth children who didn't die. I don't know what time of year it is. It was Halloween, so their kids were probably out there, which is kind of, that's a whole lot of traumatized orphans now, since God knows what's going to happen to them, but they're not all dead, which is nice.
Well, except for the kindergartners.
Okay, yeah. And people who are around in the summer or on break or whatever. Because they're like Danny Dufresne is still around.
No, there are schools on the island. He mentions his teacher.
Yeah, he does. I don't know. It's funny. Like with any big thing, any big enterprise, there are almost certainly different writers not talking to each other because they didn't know that they had to for whatever specific issue. So it's probably what happened there then. Speaking of law,
Maybe they meant higher education.
Of higher education?
I mean, the fake Carrie mentioned she's a freshman.
Yeah. You mean like high schoolers?
Yes.
And I don't...
Well,
I don't
not
know.
necessarily high school. I was thinking college. I mean, this is an academy. Do they ever say it's a high school and not a college?
They do... I think they say that Carter's 16 at one point.
Okay, then this is a high school.
It's a private... Granted, it's a private school that most kids can't afford to go to.
I imagine they have scholarships for gifted teens.
Almost certainly, but not everybody on the island is a gifted teen.
Carter is. We get to see she literally has fire starter powers. She has carry powers.
And she's honestly a lot more stable than Carrie ever was. Instead of, her mom being Carrie's mom, her mom is a sunflower farmer. Oh, so familiars. I don't know. We talked about familiar lore. I don't think so.
No, they're essentially just flesh puppets.
Yeah, pretty much. They're homunculi. They are essentially homunculi are something different, and homunculi are a lore thing, not a lore, but like a legendary thing. You take various ingredients, including notably the semen of a dead criminal who's been hanged, and bake it together and shape it into a man. It'll come to life. And it gets really grody.
Yeah, for a war golem that's supposed to be pretty scary, this guy goes down like a chump.
Mm-hmm. It is 400 years old and not maintained in fighting shape, so if I had to guess. Also,
That's fair.
If I had to guess, I'm willing to bet that last time it came up, faculty crippled it. So it's not.
Or maybe we're just that badass.
We are bees, that's fair.
Oh, at the end of this, if you do all the missions, you get another cosmetic item. It's an Innsmouth Academy hoodie.
For 2 library book. You gotta put everything in its proper place.
That's supposed to happen.
To just warp you.
Yeah, like 5 feet for some reason.
Wow. So that looks like that was a bunch.
No, I don't know what's with the jackalopes either.
Looks like he ran into a little party. I swear there was another person who ran by.
Yeah, there were a couple people doing these quests when I was in.
Damn.
They never said anything, but they were there.
To teach the gifted is the highest form of our sciences and arts. Believe me, I have made exhaustive studies of them all. Necromancy is a dog and pony show. Demonology? Please. Leave bargaining with the hell dimensions to the chancers and masochists. Callimetry is brutish puppet work and recollects my days of medical practice. They were curtailed. But my humanistic focus was not shared by the founders of this grand institution, great instrument. It has been said that there is a skeleton in every closet here at Innsmouth. That is simply not true. They were laid into the very foundation walls. The basement might bleed if you chipped beneath the plaster.
That's a figure of speech, right?
No, it is not.
I'm sorry, Carter.
Oh my god, have you ever heard of a white lie?
The architecture was exacting. A pattern, a focus, a tomb, a battery. Stockpiling anima from many sources, not entirely willing sources. It would be politic to close the breaches before they emerge.
The first time you get bricked in's probably the worst time, eh?
From my research, it seems each time begins a claustrophobic eternity anew.
You're like the world's revenge on sarcasm. Do you know that? Keep fighting the good fight, or whatever.
I'm still thinking about what fake Stephen King said about how we love evil.
I feel like that's, what was it? What was it that he said about, like...
You love evil, you let it inside, you dive on into the filth.
Right.
Because you think you're making a difference.
I mean, we kind of know that we are and aren't. That's pretty standard villain psychoanalysis there. It's about as valid as anything else Freud ever did. It's a little humor at the expense of Freudians. Oh God! Look, as someone with a background of historian, there are Freudian historians who use Freudian psychoanalysis on historical figures, even though it's been discredited for decades. And those are the worst. Those are the worst. God. But yeah. I can't help but imagine whoever this is probably more likely to be screaming eternally or just trying to survive and not get whoever it is. Not let whoever it is, like, using them, get them killed, you know?
What are you talking about?
I lost track of what I was talking about. So, nothing.
Because you mentioned puppeting. I think this is we're us. Like, we're not... They're not doing a meta thing where I am puppeting a person.
No, like, when I'm talking about puppeting, I mean the conspiracies.
Oh. Okay, I thought you were going meta.
No.
But no,
like,
this is
person
not a meta thing. They never do that.
I can imagine. I imagine a lot of these characters are a lot of player characters, at least, are sort of. They Adam Jensen this. They're just sitting around going, I didn't ask for this, and just trying to stay alive. Well, stay alive is a relative term, but trying to not lose control while still doing all of these missions and seeing all of these horrifying things. Because that cannot be psychological.
I mean, I didn't get shanghaied or raped, so you know, I picked the good side.
Yeah.
So my character, like, I don't know if there's I don't want to say canon, but my head canon is my character's totally fine with this.
And mine. So
I mean, not with the horror, but more with being a superhero and fighting the good fight.
Yeah. I just think that he managed. That's the mindset that Krieg laid out is probably pretty common among bees, but it's probably also not dominant. It would be dominant because it's obviously he's talking about players, but I mean, I did not buy this game in order to play it and be a superhero. I bought it in order to dig into the lore at the end of the day. And I don't think that's something he exactly accounts for.
I wonder how you're supposed to access B lore, like, in character. Like, is it a Matrix thing?
I think they literally whisper to you when you go to that area. Because again, you're a bee.
Like, you just get a feeling and you go to the area and suddenly the bees are whispering in your ear?
Pretty much. I mean, well, maybe not literally, because who even knows how they literally work? But like, you just sort of walk into an area, and you suddenly remember them talking to you about whatever it was, as if it already happened.
So it is a Matrix thing.
Pretty much, I guess. It's close enough.
Sorry, I have to do this because I literally have run out of space for new points.
I remember the Chaos Magic section of the old ability wheel. You had a little symbol, and then you had used martial arts, and it was so cool. In retrospect, it was so obviously designed for Dragon, because it was all the names of the abilities were like different aspects of chaos theory and higher mathematics, and all of the visuals were punching or kicking people. But I used it in my Templar. Didn't care because it was great. It's Chaos Magic and Shotgun was a really good combo for going solo. with a little bit of assault rifle for healing. That's long gone. It's when I was reading on the I was doing research and talked about one of the selling points of this game was the lack of a class system, and with the idea that you could customize your character along lines of whatever integrating a multiple fighting styles symbolized by the weapons, and that just did not work. It did not work out. I didn't mention it at the time, but I love Biblos the zombie janitor.
What is Biblios?
He was the janitor the guy we fought in the
Oh
attic.
no, I meant I assumed Biblios was a classical reference.
No, I mean Biblos was a Biblos or Bublos. I don't know. I'm not ancient Greek. Was a notable city. Was the Greek name of the notable city in Phoenicia. It produced a lot of cedar back when Lebanon was mostly cedar forest. Not anymore. Though they still have some cedar forest left. It's like a national reserve.
I think another reason they couldn't have done a 1920s setting is the racism.
That's fair. And
because you would either have to completely whitewash everything, and then everyone would go, "Well, what about the racism?" Or you go all in, and then it's just really racist.
Yeah. It's.
Though I really would want to see that because you could fight magical Klansmen.
That would be, oh god. But honestly, in this political climate, that would be just an unimaginable nightmare. Even when this was being designed, that was just starting to be an issue.
I had an idea for a stealth action game set during the last days of Reconstruction, where you'd play as a former member of United States colored troops, avenging his family against the KKK, or the Redeemers, or whatever.
That's... Yeah, I know I should have a response to that, but I just don't happen to have anything insightful to say. Well, there's plenty of time for empty pauses. This isn't exactly a short video.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, he takes a while to find you. They set his spawn pretty far back.
Do we know? Oh, did we see what his deal is? Maybe I missed it and was in a mission briefing.
No, not yet. We learn it as Hayden Montag's last mission.
Ah.
He is Malin the Accursed. And if you paid attention to the news within the past, whenever ISIS was running around, you'll recognize what mythology he's from when they mention it.
Oh, I think I know what you're referring to. And yeah, I won't talk about that until its last mission. Because that comes up in the Innsmouth Academy lore.
Specifically?
Yep. Including the name of the mythology in question. There's a nice piece of gameplay story integration.
It's a bit far for a relatively little-known religious group from the Middle East to get all the way to New England.
Well,
But
not if it comes in the form of a little bit of in the form of a book.
that's true.
But oh, that's spoilers.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
Hello?
The Breakfast Cult, which is a reference to the Breakfast Club.
Did you come for the library amnesty? Regrettably, our alumni schedule for the semester has been heavily impacted by the massacre. Slaughtered is a crutch, an unfortunate crutch. I presided as Innsmouth's headmaster over a run of good form for 15 years. Naturally, there have been the usual accidents, namings, well within accountable risks. As I would tell parents before I was retired from the reparation committee, you cannot vivisect a ghoul without breaking a few legs.
Ah, he's paraphrasing. Work with me here, HJ. Moving right along.
The wards of this school, hundreds of years old, are violated. It is unthinkable. But we handle the unthinkable every day. Now things are slipping through. Both ways. I'm not sure which is worse for the general health of the island. A thorough investigation will follow as soon as we have appointed new staff and dissolved their predecessors' corpses. Yes, the immediate concern is that
That's a great line.
Yeah.
the devices are hungry, rapacious for anima.
Great. We'll have a sacrificial donation drive. Or a bake sale.
Delightful.
That reminds me, I have some brownie mix. I should make some brownies.
I really, really like baking. I like baking cookies and brownies, and I've had to give it up because, given that, circumstances of the last year and a half, I have no recipes that make small amounts of baked goods, and I'm fat enough already. I do not want to pile on even more, like, sugar and fat. One day...
Oh, I thought you were going to mention your fucked up forearms.
Oh, I mean, look. How do I put this?
I'm sorry, was that impolitic? I
No,
apologize.
not by any means. But the way I'm looking to put it is that I could be way smarter about these arms than I am, but I'm not in order to stay sane. Like, I can't. I really don't like the disability overcoming or disability worldview because it is really destructive in a bunch of very subtle ways. But this is something where I just am not going to cater to it and let it restrict me in this area, because otherwise I'll go completely nuts. I'll just my sense of fun would shrivel up and die.
Okay, I mean, at least you aren't causing more harm by doing this, are you?
No, I look, there was a time in my life where I thought that I was, but I've gotten used to it. And without going into too much into details, not because it's gross or anything, but because I just
It's personal.
because I just don't understand the biology all that well. The tendons work as well as they always have. Like, if I squeeze something, my grip strength is just as... It's kind of weak, but my grip strength has always been really weak. Like, it's normal. It's just It's just that they're weaker than they used to be. The tendons are weaker in that they get overstressed more easily. So I can do all kinds of things without causing any more harm to them. I'll just hurt a lot after it. And there will come a point where I can feel I'm about to start doing something that I will regret for the rest of my life. Pull back. But some amount of stuff like baking or even playing some video games is just not that much of an issue.
Quick access inventory updated.
So with your tendons messed up, is it easier to use a keyboard
Nope.
or
Oh my,
a controller?
Like, I can use a keyboard, and I do regularly, but I have to be careful about it, because it'll just, if I do the normal amount of... If I use a keyboard about as much as anyone else in my position would be, by the end of the week, I'd start hitting that point of no return every week, which is why I have that dictation software, which is magical. It's like...
I tried to use dictation software to deal with my... I have like a learning disability regarding writing, which has plagued me for many years. But I tried to use dictation software to correct it, and that didn't help.
Yeah, it's actually pretty complicated, and it's not like... what did you use? Do you remember which program?
I think the last time we tried, we used Dragon.
Yeah, that's what I use. It's not... Sometimes it just doesn't work, and it requires... How do I put this? Dictation software. It's a hit and miss thing. It just happened to work for me, and it just happened to work. Honestly, like, again, I hope this isn't impolitic, but it's actually helped me write. Like, when I have a degree in creative writing, that was what my undergrad was. My portfolio was a few hundred pages long, and I did that little bit by little bit over the course of 4 years, writing in my free time. I could manage maybe like 600 words a day on a really, really good day. Like, sitting down, like, most I ever pulled off was in, like, when I was desperate. When I was, like, I literally had a short story due in 3 hours that I had not even thought about, and I was able to pump out about 2,000 words. And once I figured out the dictation software, I was able to put out 1,000 words a day for months consistently without much problem when I was unemployed.
I'm so fucking jealous of you.
Yes. It's, for me, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm, obligatory sorry, bro.
The worst part is it didn't get diagnosed till college, because everyone thought... Well, my parents assumed the school was handling because I had an IEP, and they weren't.
I was really lucky.
I mean, I can write a 3-paragraph essay, but it in no way prepared me for college.
It's funny, speaking of somebody who's a disability activist now, there's nothing that I can say that makes that go away. Just that's... I'm sorry that had to happen to you, because it sucks.
Well, the worst part is it didn't have to happen.
Yeah.
It was the school's incompetence.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't care. People do not care. And they just sort of do... God, I don't know. Yeah.
You're getting a lot of this in your Quattro Shouju LP.
Yep. And it never stops hurting, but there's also nothing that I can do. I hesitate to give people too much comfort, because there comes a point where I'm projecting, where I start coming up with solutions to problems that have already been come and gone and done their damage, and I'm not going to, like, reduce a person to a hypothetical of how their life could have been better. That it feels very wrong and even insulting. But
well, as a disabled person, as a person who has physical and mental disabilities, you know how my life could have been improved? Not having those.
yeah.
But that's a matter of genetics, so I can't do anything about that. It does make me hopeful for the Star Trek future, where I won't have to worry about it. No one will ever have to worry about these things again.
That's literally what I'm working for. Where, like, like, my job, I probably shouldn't say too much about it, because I don't know how much of it is going to be public information. But we just we ran a course, like, not a course, a hiring session specifically for neurodiverse people, like, who have been unable to find employment because employers will not work with dealing with our neurodiversity. We had 20 slots and then we had 21 offers extended as a result of the effort. And it's just going to keep that, and that's consistent with what we've been finding. So it's like one of the greatest tragedies is once you find a good way to present this stuff, it becomes more common sense and becomes something people can work with and accept.
A wraith.
But it has to be
That's
pushed. It has to be pushed. It has to be taught, and people
cannot
don't
manifest
care
far from their wretched
unless you
course.
find a way to.
Only the Yazidi knew how to.
Gonna have to interrupt you. We're talking about the Yazidi. So if you remember, ISIS was besieging the Yazidi.
Accidentally intoned
Apparently, Malon the Accursed, the Wraith
neighbors
that's hunting
saw a
Montag,
dancing couple in the street, though its
is a
small
Yazidi
rusty
Wraith.
dog. I was young and needed the knowledge. Carter, this is why I saw something of myself in you. A great and terrible power to be shaped with the care I never had.
That's not really encouraging, sir.
I assure you that your magic has almost certainly not caused any immediately fatal injuries.
Yeah, that is. God.
This loose end has become a heavyweights noose. Exorcising the Wraith calls for a ritual sacrifice. My ritual sacrifice.
No way.
No bloody way.
In fact, it is the only way. In the realm of the Peacock King, blood calls for blood. Such is the price of foolish magic. I should like that for my epitaph.
This isn't gonna happen, HJ. Obviously, I defer to your massive brain on most matters of the occult, but the only object lesson happening today is you learning about compromise.
That sounds painful.
Less painful than making a pentacle from your entrails.
You remembered the very book of curses. Truly a model student.
I think we might have mentioned this. I don't know if we mentioned this in the original or in the old recording, but you'd think she'd clean some of the blood off. Like,
Yeah,
she's
I was
had
won-
time, clearly.
I was wondering about that. I'm just sitting here recording and going, why? She's like, how long has it been again?
I think it's been like a couple days.
Oh, just a couple days. Oh, I thought it was like a week or longer.
It might have been. I don't know. I mean, canonically, everything from you getting B powers to the end of Tokyo is a week.
Quick access inventory updated.
And we only learned that at the end of the Tokyo section. In like a weird flashback.
Huh. Yeah, and it's not something that Yeah, I don't know. And there he is.
Now, how we actually deal with the Wraith is rather cool. but I won't spoil it. Now, to understand what we're about to do, what does a mirror do?
Is this like a rhetorical question or a literal physics way?
Physics.
Reflects
A
light.
mirror reflects light. What else reflects light? We have just trapped him in a slide from the projector.
Quick access inventory updated.
That's actually really. And we were just talking about this. How it's a shame that this game doesn't interact with technology quite as much.
Please, body temperature makes my skin crawl.
And now we get to see her go all carry.
Hey,
And she
can I
uses
talk to you?
a mixed sports metaphor that doesn't really work.
Chosen one, about a big problem. Obviously, not as big a problem as all the other big problems you guys are dealing with outside those walls. But still, help? Okay, so the practical alchemy class keeps racks of replacement familiars hung up in the basement. At least a dozen.
Oh god, I just noticed her pants are skeleton pants.
Are they?
It's not as gross as it sounds.
Look at
Oh
them.
god.
Okay, it pretty much is as gross.
She was at Halloween prom, she's dressed as a skeleton.
A whole army of creepy dolls right under our feet. Miss Usher and Mr. Montauk want me on the bench for this game, and I know it's to keep their star player from getting injured mid-season. But it feels more like being in the penalty box. I want to step up to bat. I want to help out. I can use my powers. The really freaky ones.
You could still see the remnants of her skull makeup.
I mean,
I'm tired of being scared of it. Being made sick by it. Maybe that's how my powers want to be used. For me to just say the words and tear it all down. Look, if I set it off, I kinda need someone to make sure I can stop again. Like a chaperone. It's not quite the Halloween prom, but, well, that's where this all started. Worst prom night ever.
Take care.
wow.
Uncontrolled amplification. In complete thermonuclear devastation. That's
God, yeah. I think this is the mission where most people who played it failed to realize how to properly manipulate it. And
yeah, if you get caught within her little area of effect, you die immediately.
and
She's really powerful.
there's a way around it. But
Don't let her get too injured.
oh well, actually, let's wait until we actually get there. Do you use the method the game gives you to survive, or do you just go hide in the corner?
I go hide in the corner.
Everyone goes and hides in the corner, but that's not how you're supposed to beat that boss.
Oh no, I kill the boss.
Oh.
I just whenever she unleashes her powers, I do my best to run away outside the area she's gonna explode in.
No, that's the thing. There is a way that you don't have to run away that the game provides you, but nobody
But no,
sees it.
we're supposed to use the war generator.
Yep. But by the time you
Oh,
get there, it puts it in your inventory and tells you nothing about it. So you end up kind of just going.
it's not really that big a deal
Yeah.
given how we can come back from death.
Yeah,
So
it's just some really mediocre design.
well, that just makes me want to watch Mad Max again.
Yeah. Okay, there are far worse fates. You know, Fury Road.
Mediocre.
God, that's such a good movie.
Oh God, yes.
It is. Like I don't go to see movies multiple times unless people are dragging me. But I went to see that movie twice.
I saw it once regular and once in 3D.
Well, I saw it twice in theaters, once in 3D, and then I bought it on Steam so I could have it, and I watched it again. 'Cause they sell some movies on Steam. I didn't know until I saw Fury Road was on sale for $20. Just like, so you could have it.
I have the Mad Max video game, which is actually pretty good.
I hear it's okay. I hear it's one of those.
Things are about to get kind of gross.
I do like the way that's phrased.
Run. That's how big her area of effect is.
Yeah, they get around it being an escort mission because she's never really in danger.
You're the one in danger.
Yeah. I do like how they're just all coming at you, off of hooks.
I find it more interesting they can get off those hooks, because those are some pretty substantial meat hooks.
I know it's not like exactly like they feel pain. Maybe able to just
I mean, I guess
rip their backs out.
I'm just trying to picture how they can get leverage.
Yeah, that's fair.
Things are about to get kind of gross.
And she uses her powers, and I die here.
Because yeah, it's too late for you to escape.
Oh no,
Well?
I live. I forgot.
Huh.
I managed to live somehow.
I think I think everything might have died before she activated it, so she deactivated it. Maybe.
Just so you know, things are about to get.
I guess they're not about to get gross.
I don't know why she says gross, because it's fire.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, she's gross because gross is another word for big. She's not
I
even
like her
a
magical
bee.
flying hammer powers.
Yeah.
With my powers. I think I like it.
And thankfully I managed to destroy the abomination before all the other things on hooks wake up.
So where was I? Like I don't think she's even a bee. She's just her own thing.
Yeah, she's just Carrie.
Okay. I mean, well, like, you know.
The whispering has stopped. My nosebleed too. We better get back. Let's make this our secret. Deal?
Yeah, I mean, she's, like I said before, she's so much more sane than Carrie ever was. Just like real Stephen King is not at all Sam Krieg. And in that text, Richard Sonak is so dismissive of her. It's like, she's all right, but the Illuminati trained her, so she's a mess. And come on, she's. I don't know. I guess when you're that powerful, there's only so much a nuke is gonna do to you. Gonna concern you.
I think it's more the Illuminati trained her. They're kind of fuck ups. Like the Illuminati in this game really suffer from the Cerberus situation.
Like Mass Effect, where they get in over their heads, way over their heads.
Mass Effect with the hot dog cart.
Yeah.
You know?
They really do like. I really wish Cerberus wasn't as important in those games as it was, because it just does not. It doesn't help.
And we've got another puzzle lock. If you remember the last time I interfaced with an Illuminati door.
Illuminati really like dumb puzzles, but then that's the stereotype. I just saw Steam pop up, and I'm like, wait, you also know this person I know?
Quick access inventory updated.
Hey, want to know something my grandfather did, which was probably illegal?
What?
He was a medical student. He was like born in 1902, so it's a ways back. And he got part of a human skull from a cadaver and took it home with him. And we have it in our house, and within, like, I can turn my head and if the lights weren't off, see it from where I'm sitting. And he desecrated that corpse. So yeah, I have a. I don't like. I'm pretty sure it was just somebody's cadaver they donated to science. It was not like he horribly. He did something to somebody. But yeah, that's not a great thing to do. Oh, and there are, of course, really obviously the order of the order of where you put things in.
Mm-hmm. But I need all the symbols to do so.
And you get a fetch quest, which is
It's not like a difficult fetch quest.
yeah. I just don't like fetch quest. I don't like fetch quests on principle. Or well, that's not necessarily true, but I don't like hide and go seek fetch quests like this, where you just have to go from place to place. Though, okay, in fairness, this is only barely qualifies as that, given how everything is just in one area. But...
Yeah, it's literally just go through the building and grab some shit.
Mm-hmm. So as far as such things go, it's just not much of an issue. But I'm inclined to stick to its principle. Did you know that the Star of David was...
God, I'm getting flashbacks to fucking Tokyo, where you have to go through multiple apartment buildings full of fucking traps.
Like, yeah. Oh, good. Well, we have that to look forward to. Like, I was just thinking, did you know the Star of David, when it was first used as a symbol, was a symbol of Muslim Turks in medieval southern Turkey?
No, I've always seen it as a symbol of...
Judaism, right?
Yeah.
It is, but it kind of drifted there after. It's like, okay, so if I say a symbol of Islam, like the cross is a symbol of Christianity, you probably think of the crescent.
Yes.
That is a symbol of the city of Constantinople. It was, I wouldn't call it Christian because it was a symbol of a city, but it like dates back to the Byzantine Empire days. But it ended up being, since that's where the Ottoman Empire was based, a de facto symbol of them. And in the like 17, 18, 19, early 1900s, as stuff was... What?
We're about to get a cutscene.
I've been in exile for a very long time. I was forced by false prophets to flee my homeland in disguise, degrade myself by pretending to be something I'm not, to be much less than I truly am. I spent a long time cursing my kind, planning my revenge and victorious return. Eventually, I got on with my life, and now they're all dead and forgotten by those who once worshipped them. There's a lesson in there somewhere, I'm sure. Thing is, I'm ready to be myself once again. No more disguises. Their false prophecies perished with the White God. I'm free.
I think this implies he's Loki.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or anyone changing that. It's beautiful, isn't it? And to think this thing was out there all along, while I wasted my time chasing a fucking
Yep.
hammer. I got what I came for, and I need to be moving on. Places to go, spells to cast, gods to wake. Spoiler alert, we'll fight, I'll win, you'll track me down again, just in time to watch your world tumble into chaos. Title scroll, lights come back up. Oh, wait, no, they won't. If I could kill you, I would. I really, really would. I don't like leaving matters unresolved. I do it cleanly and painlessly. None of the fancy stuff. I'm not that sort of villain. No stage magician. I take pride in my work. And I'm not afraid to get my hands filthy. But unless I grind you to a fine dust, the fucking bees will just whisk you away to safety.
I like how it's brought up by the villain.
I'll just make
I
sure
literally
you
cannot kill you because of those fucking
get
bees.
on with things. Farewell.
Yeah, that's Loki.
It's noticeable when he says the White God and chasing the fucking hammer.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it? I'm gonna finish up the Star of David story, then transfer to the Odin as Mercury story. Oh, this is...
Foreshadowing.
Yay! That's old. That predates the first time this building was destroyed. But yeah. So basically, to go back to where I was talking about before the plot happened, as nationalism came to be a thing, the Ottoman Empire tried to harness it, as they were the dominant Sunni power in the world at the time. So they tried to... They'd claimed the title of caliph a while back, so they really leaned into it as the leaders of Islam, to be like, and to portray themselves as to basically try and turn Arabic nationalism into Islamic nationalism, which failed. It almost backfired. But their symbol got attached to Islam anyway, and that's why people think of the crescent like they think of the cross for Christianity. It's politics.
Here's an official history of the Innsmouth Academy.
Which is probably about as useful as it probably worth about as much time as you spent looking at it.
I don't know, I'd read that book.
That's fair. Oh, come on, they're not using the F-shaped S, for shame.
I literally look at all these and actually just sat there and read them. So you get a nice long place to pause.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, did you know Wednesday is named after Odin?
Yes, I'm familiar with the days of the week in English.
Yeah, it's funny.
Or at least their origin.
Yeah. So, it's funny that the earliest mention we have of Odin is about 100 BC, when Roman, not adventurer, but a guy who talked to a Roman adventurer, talked about how there was a god Mercury, a version of the Greeks and Romans were really, really fond of whenever they found a god in some other culture, they'd figure out which of their own gods it was closest to, and then just say they were worshiping that god. And it was just as if it was just another form, which is kind of how they treated religion in their homeland with other Greek or Italic states anyway. So, but the way they talk about Odin, they talk about him a lot as a transgressive figure, as much as a authoritative figure. There's a lot of speculation that because the actual Norse mythology that we have was written down a couple hundred years after it stopped being practiced by a bishop, and so it's not entirely clear how much of it is authentic and how much of it's been Christianized. Though there is also good reason to believe the guy who was writing it down, Snorri Sturluson, I'm butchering his name, but whatever, I don't care, was trying to be accurate and trying not to Christian it up too much. But there's a lot of speculation that Loki, as we know him, was actually an aspect of Odin, who's viewed as a positive figure instead of the, how do I put this? Instead of sometimes borderline satanic in the way people talk about him, he was less a Marvel villain and more a trickster hero. I'm trying to think of a good example.
Coyote?
No, Coyote's too powerful for him. But Brer Rabbit, if anyone. Just the sort of person who takes power and inverts it and laughs. But the guy who wrote it down, the guy who sent it to us, was a bishop. So he looked at the figure whose job was defying authority and went, well, that sounds familiar. And that's what he identified it with. Even because Odin's weird. Odin's a dark figure. Odin shows up in battlefields looking like Gandalf watching people die.
And we are almost mercifully at an end.
Yeah.
Just get out of these catacombs and get to where we'll start the next...
I see we've hit the point where the caretaker doesn't care much.
Well, the caretakers don't care until you touch the books. Then you have to kill them.
I see.
And here we have a little puzzle. Just a little floor puzzle. You've done these before.
Oh, these, yeah. These are just this kind of puzzle breaks my brain. I don't know what it is. I just cannot handle it.
You know who else can't handle these? Actually, is one of my favorite streamers. He streamed one of the Saw games, and there were a bunch of puzzles like that, and they took him a long time, and he actually admitted he does not actually know how to do those types of puzzles. He just randomly presses buttons until it succeeds.
Yeah, I can't do those things consciously. I have to learn the pattern just by like embedding it in my head and figuring it out. If I try to memorize what's going on, it's just too much information, even for relatively simple things. So I just sort of turn it into a dance and then hope it works.
By the way, I recommend German 985. He's very funny. He's a very funny, compact little dude.
And it looks like we are.
I'm just gonna take us up to this bluff over here, and the last thing we'll do will be the short Native American section in this map, and then we'll be in the much longer Native American section in next map. But some of you might have been wondering, where the fuck is the government during all this? They're in the next map. Both the CDC and the Army.
Unfortunately for both of them.
Yes. Spoiler alert, it's not going well for them.
Can you even imagine what it would take for it to go well for them? God. All right.
Thank you for watching.